I know the feeling. You scroll through endless listings, see glossy photos of sleek mixers and jog wheels, and think you've finally found the perfect controller. Then the box arrives, you hook it up, and the excitement fades because the workflow feels clunky or the features you imagined just don't translate to a real gig. That's why I wanted to dig a little deeper before I hit record on this review, because the last thing any DJ needs is another piece of gear that looks great on the page but disappoints on the floor. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The RANE 4 Professional Stems DJ controller sits in a niche that's been growing fast: the ability to isolate stems, instrumentals, vocals, drums, and bass on the fly while you're mixing. RANE built this unit around Serato DJ Pro Stems technology, which means you can pull apart a track into 4 layers with a single button press. For a DJ who wants to add live remixing, on-the-spot mashups, or just a little extra flair to a set, that's a genuine game changer. But the question is whether that promise lives up to the everyday demands of a club, a wedding gig, or a home studio. First off, the hardware feels purpose-built for that stems workflow. The mixer section gives you 4 full channels, each with its own EQ and filter controls, so you can treat a stem just like a regular deck. The dedicated stems button sits right next to the channel fader, and a quick tap swaps you between the full track and any of the 4 isolated layers. In practice, I found this works smoothly when I'm layering a vocal over a beat that's already playing. The transition is almost instant, no need to load a separate deck or fire up a separate piece of software. That's a real time saver for a live performance where every second counts. The jog wheels are another highlight. At 8.5 inches they're large enough to give you precise control, and the higher solution encoders feel buttery whether you're scratching a classic break or nudging a synth line into the next bar. The central color display on each wheel shows BPM, the waveform overview, and even the active stem layer, so you're never squinting at a laptop screen trying to figure out where you are in the track. For anyone who has spent a set wrestling with tiny laptop displays in low light, this visual cue alone makes the RANE 4 feel far more performance-oriented than a typical controller that relies solely on a computer monitor. Connectivity is where the 4 really tries to cover all bases. 2 USB ports mean you can run 2 laptops simultaneously and switch between them on the fly, a feature that's surprisingly useful for DJs who want to keep a backup ready, or for venues that require a plug-and-play laptop for the main act and a secondary one for a warm-up set. The switchable phono input adds another layer of flexibility. You can drop a turntable into the mix without needing an extra external sound card. In a real-world club scenario I've seen, a DJ could spin vinyl on the right side while the left side stays locked to the Serato laptop, allowing for a hybrid set that feels both classic and modern. Now, no piece of gear is perfect, and the 4's design does come with a few trade-offs you should be aware of before you click Add to Cart. The controller is built to be used with Serato DJ Pro. There's no standalone mode, so you'll need a laptop that meets Serato system requirements and a valid license. If you're a beginner who's still figuring out which DJ software you prefer, that could be a hurdle. Also, the FX section is paddle-triggered rather than having dedicated knobs or a large touchscreen. While the 24 paddle-triggered effects cover the basics echo, filter, reverb, and a few creative options, they don't offer the same depth of tweaking you'd get on a larger, more expensive mixer with dedicated FX knobs. If you rely heavily on fine-tuning effects mid-set, you might find yourself reaching for the laptop more often than you'd like. Pricing is another practical consideration. The 4 sits in a premium bracket, which is justified by its stems capability and professional-grade build, but it does mean you're paying a sizable amount for a feature set that only a portion of DJs actually use. If you're primarily playing straightforward 2-deck mixes, a more conventional 2-channel controller could save you a few $100s without sacrificing the core performance you need. On the flip side, if you're already comfortable with Serato and you've been looking for a way to add stems to your toolkit, the value you get from being able to pull vocal or drum layers on the fly can actually translate into higher gig rates. Clubs love a DJ who can remix on the spot, and wedding planners appreciate the ability to isolate the ceremony music's instrumental for a smoother transition. Who should consider the RANE 4? Think of DJs who already have a solid foundation in Serato.